Welcome to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper Smith, a doctorate prepared nurse practitioner, and this show is about empowering you to live a radiant, healthy, and balanced life. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Kennon Mason, a nationally board certified holistic psychology practitioner, a personal fitness trainer, and nutrition and wellness consultant. And he is also the host of the Kinetic Hour. So, welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. So, let's start off. What is a holistic psychology practitioner?
Well, it kind of goes back to the basics of just human living. Um, Two basic things that stand out for holistic psychology. One is I don't diagnose any specific disorders, if
Right.
you will. Um, we have something called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual on mental conditions. And it's kind of grown since the late 1950s when it was just kind of a 20 or 30 page pamphlet. And now, today, with the fifth edition, I mean, it's almost 1,000 pages worth of uh, diagnoses that have been identified for certain human behavior patterns.
Right.
And so the one thing that I kind of take a different direction is to uh, tell people what they have, you know, and giving them a label. Because the moment you put a label on someone, the brain automatically generates chemistry that will kind of parallel with that notion that's been
Hmm.
given to you by someone else.
We like to
So,
label things.
right. So that's one distinction. And the next is that I don't prescribe medications. So those are the two distinctions, the biggest distinctions. I don't prescribe medications because my belief when it comes to holistics is that all of us came here equipped with everything that we've ever needed for life. So if there's a challenge in life, the first thing we need to do is acknowledge it. Acknowledge that there's something going on. Let's acknowledge the background of its origin, if we can go back that far. Or we can just take what the challenge is at face value and see how we can make it better without the intervention of synthetic medications. And I'm not saying, as a person of holistic uh, health, if you will, that there's no place for allopathic remedies, because there's a time and a place for everything. But in my practice, or in the practice of holistics, we kind of take a more holistic approach for us to use everything that we've been given naturally. Let's use our brains. Let's kind of think about where our direction has taken us and where we've ended up. Everyone has our story to tell. You've had your story to the direction that you've laid out for yourself that has led you to be a doctor or physician, and it's led you to be here where we are right now. Everybody has their life journey. So with holistic psychology, the main objective is to get to solutions by way of communicating the challenge and then taking the necessary steps, or what's called the next logical steps, to make things better every single day. That way, the individual gets to learn about themselves more and more and more each day.
Yeah,
Um,
you make
yeah, go
such a
ahead.
good point when you earlier talked about labeling and how if I believe that there's something wrong with me, it becomes my
Yes,
truth, and the brain is
yes,
so powerful. So it's
yes.
so important to, as part of your holistic treatment, to look at those situations.
Yeah, and the brain is Well, I mean, when you get to learn about how the brain operates, it can seem on the surface, it can look pretty complicated. But once you learn just some basics on the brain and how it functions, every thought creates a neuron. You have neurons and these dendrites, they kind of connect. You have the axons and you have the dendrites. Information goes from here and then it passes over and then it comes over here. And then it gives your body information on what to do next. So as long as we learn how to follow that path and learn who we are on a deeper level. We don't have to be physicians or even where I am. Anyone can learn about how their own bodies function.
Mm.
Um, just some basics. We all have a heart. We all have lungs that breathe in and out. Um, but when we learn how we can kind of remedy ourselves when there's illness or when there's other life challenges, we learn more about us as a species of beings, or we can start going even deeper as us being light beings or spirit beings. You just get to learn a deeper portion of yourself versus just the surface of flesh and bone. We get to learn about the etheric part of ourselves. Again, holistics,
Absolutely.
learning about some subtle differences about ourselves that we probably wouldn't typically learn when we're in school.
Yeah. And what I find in my work when I'm helping somebody on their weight loss journey, there's a lot of self sabotage and a lot of maybe emotional issues that interfere with the physical journey. So, how does your model help people to kind of overcome that sort of thing?
Well, I saw the interview that you did with Tiffany,
Oh,
and she was talking about during the pandemic how a lot of people had the fear factors about their
yes.
health. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? Um, do I have to really have these inoculations, or
Hmm.
can I take this other route and boost my immune system to where all of my respective parts are beginning to function at an optimal level? Now, you mentioned self sabotage. And many of us are guilty of that, including myself. I've had my journeys of ups and downs, learning about my own body and what works best for me. And so, when it comes to the self sabotage, um, you know, it's about trusting our own body's capabilities of what it can do and what it cannot do without our assistance. you know the body will do whatever we kind of tell it to, as long as we provide the conditions or the atmosphere for that to take place. So there is no self-sabotage. The body will do what it was designed to do, and that was regenerate,
Mm.
heal. um, so therefore, we don't have to fall into the notions that if we have a certain condition, the first thing we are suggested to do is remove the body part. You know, um, I talked to Dr. Mike about this too.
Ah,
About how because because as a society we haven't been taught enough about how our own bodies function, and so because of that, we kind of take on the world's way of handling our own
mhm.
stresses and adversities. Um, and it can be a self-destructive path for many people. So the best way, again, to remedy is to go back and um, just check ourselves, check in with ourselves. Many of us live in the rat race of life, and we never take the time out to look at ourselves, look at what we're doing, and see and kind of see what um, where this journey has taken us, so we can make it better. And then the self sabotage won't even be a factor anymore. You know, you can make yourself as strong in the mind just as much as you can in the heart. Once you make that heart brain connection, you can do anything with that.
So you mentioned earlier the first step is to acknowledge
Yes.
what's challenging us. So let's say we have this issue, we acknowledge it. What do we do next?
So after you acknowledge, so the first, well, you first acknowledge, and then let's take the necessary steps depending on what the challenge is.
Mm,
You mentioned nutrition. So if it's nutrition, let's see what we're lacking in. Most people, not most people, but some people have nutritional deficiencies that may need to be addressed. So if there's something like you're having stomach issues or liver issues or poor digestion, so let's look at what we're eating first of all. Let's look at the diet. Today we have like 1,000 different diets on the market.
yes,
It's
we do.
flooded with different diets. When I was younger in my 20s, they had this. We had the low fat diet, low carb diet.
Mm.
Um, Now we have paleo, Atkins, all these different diets. When all we need to do is just check to see if the foods that we're eating are making our bodies become inflammatory or inflamed. So when the body becomes inflamed, let's change that after the acknowledgement. Let's change it, make the subtle changes. And you don't have to be perfect, but if you want to make some any kind of change, let's look at what's creating the problem first. Let's look at what creates the problem, and then let's make the subtle changes over the course of time versus trying to make everything happen within today or the next day. Let's use time as our greatest asset to make the necessary changes after the acknowledgement, then the change um, of food, whether you're taking something away from the diet or you're adding something to the diet, whether it's greens or drinking more water, um, you know, whatever it is, that much better on basis. Make it a daily practice or a daily habit until it becomes until it becomes such the what they call it, your can't think of the phrase now, but it just becomes your daily habit, and it becomes a part of you at that point. And then
And
health becomes your norm.
you have a couple really good points. And people say, okay, what do I do next? Well, it depends where you are now. So your plan is going to be different from my plan. It's very
Yeah.
individualized. And then
Yes.
the second one is it takes time. So somebody will maybe
Yes.
do something for a week. Oh, it's not working. Like, it takes time, and we don't always have that patience. We want that immediate response that it's
Instant
not realistic.
gratification.
Yeah.
Yes. We live in the kind of microwave oven society where we want everything yesterday. Um, the time that it takes to develop a health condition or an illness condition, um, it really doesn't have to take that same amount of time to reverse the condition or make it a little bit better. But at the same time, again, use time as your greatest asset.
Hmm.
And again, you get to learn about yourself in that course of time. You get to learn how your body functions. You get to learn what's good for you, what's not good for you. Like you said, everything's individualized. Every person is going to function differently or take a different approach. Some people may do a week and say, "Oh, okay." They might do a week cleanse. A week of a cleanse or some sort of detoxification um, for a week. And if that is working for you and you see some sort of result, then you continue that. But for those that say, "Well, I'm not seeing any results," then you might want to make some minor changes or slight changes or switch the parts around. Maybe you want to do something in the morning versus doing it before you go to sleep, or doing this remedy when you first wake up. Whatever the case, everyone has their, like you said, individualized way of making themselves better. Um, uh, and I would say, uh, start drinking more water. I mean,
Hmm.
the human body is. I mean, we all should know this by now that the human body is mostly made up of water and plasma. The brain is housed in water. We need water to fire off our thoughts and electro impulses and all these different things. So um, I always say just start with drinking a little more water on a daily basis.
Excellent
Um,
first step.
yeah,
I'm going
absolutely.
to have you hold that thought. We're going to pause for a break from our sponsor. You're listening to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper Smith, and my guest today is Kennon Mason. Before the break, we were talking about many of the psychological influences on our health and well being. And right before the break, we were talking about water and how most of us don't get enough water.
Yeah.
What's happening inside when we're not hydrated properly?
Well, your body doesn't have an opportunity to first hydrate. Water helps to kind of move blood throughout the system. It also helps to move your lymphatic fluid throughout the, which is another important thing that many people overlook, the importance of the lymphatic system. Um, Drinking more water so we can kind of clean out all the
Mm-hmm.
toxic stuff that would otherwise create um, the health challenges that may arise by way of not having enough water in the body, whether it's constipation. That's a result of not having enough
Mm-hmm.
water. Um, you know, and that can become a problem as well. Uh, all things, one leads to the next. Everything has kind of like a flow, or steps that are taken uh, to create the condition, whether it's health or illness. So water is definitely important, because if not, um, constipation, and then possibly other, irritable bowel syndrome, and then a worst case scenario, colon cancer and things of this nature. So yeah, water is definitely, it's something that we can't overlook, and uh, we can't get enough of. At least drink what, half your body weight in ounces, ideally. Um, but if you if even if you're not so exact, just get a bottle of water and just drink it throughout the day. You
Yep.
know, or you can go even further. Take a lemon or an orange and just squeeze the juice in it in the morning. um, do that, and that will amp up, um, the usage of the water. Having that lemon, that acidic kind of, um, that acidic, because the body has to have the acid alkaline balance. You can't be too much of one and can't be too much of the other. So when you have the balance, the body is to be acidic to a certain degree. You have to have certain acids to break down the food that we eat, especially for those that are participating still in the standard American diet. If we're not drinking enough water to dilute all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's in processed food, the cells are going to start to take on a different um, meaning and how they function. So so water is definitely ideal for everyday use. Above
A
all
lot of
else,
people,
not tea, not energy drinks, water.
mhm. A lot of my clients too, when they say they don't like the taste of water, that's I think where the adding something to it, like the lemon or cucumber, can just help it taste better, and then it's more palatable. Um,
Yeah, you can add some. I pink salt sometimes. I'll add pink salt for
Mm,
more hydration, or sea salt, one or the
yep.
other. Um, and that will change the taste a little bit. The one thing that changes the water taste the most, it's a little extreme, but it's the use of food grade hydrogen peroxide
Oh,
um, in water, little
food
droplets.
grade.
Food
Food
grade,
grade, everyone.
food
Not the
grade,
stuff
yes.
in your
No,
first
no,
aid
no,
kit.
no, no, no. Food grade hydrogen peroxide, yes,
So,
which is very different from your convenience store bought hydrogen
mhm.
peroxide. Is very different, and you have to be very careful with it. Um, but those are just some examples of different types of water and
Yeah.
how you can kind of change the molecular structure.
So we have not talked about hydrogen peroxide in the water on this show yet. So why would you encourage someone to do that, or if that's your own practice, why would you do that?
Well, some people do it just to have extra oxygen in the body. Otto Warburg and Max Planck, they prove that the more oxygen you have in your body, um, you're pretty much not going to have any kind of opportunity for illness to
Hmm.
manifest itself. So the more oxygen you have in the body, the more, um, because everything is frequency. The more your body is at a higher frequency, it's going to take out all the toxicities of the lower frequency. So hydrogen peroxide is just an option. It's not for everyone, but it is an option
Yeah,
for
definitely
those
something to
for those
explore.
purposes. Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. There's a book called The 1 Minute Cure that talks about that in depth.
very cool. So earlier you mentioned a bunch of different types of diets. So how do you help your clients navigate, and should they try one of them, or what do you tell them to do?
Uh, no, well, again, like you said, everything is
Hmm.
individualized. So generally, just from a general position, um, I just tell people to add more fruit or more vegetables. Again, with the standard American diet, most of the time these things are missing. With the meat and potatoes diet, there's nothing to offset the heaviness of animal flesh, or the heaviness of the processed food or the processed diet. So I just say add some
Okay.
greens, add some chard, add red leaf lettuce, add green leaf lettuce, or if you don't want to go that route, add some green powders like a spirulina or barley grass, or some people do wheatgrass, any type of green, alfalfa, any of those powders you can add to your water, just so you can get some chlorophyll into your system. Chlorophyll is like another part of it's the greenery. It's like the lifeblood of all your plants. So once you get that into your blood, it's going to add that double impact punch to how your body operates. And so I would always say fruits and vegetables,
Hmm.
or whichever ones that you like. I can go on down the line of all the different fruits and vegetables that can be added, but whichever ones that's good for the individual, add it to
Yeah.
your respective diet, and then just go from there and monitor how your body operates from that point.
Yeah, and there's so many micronutrients in all those things. Real food, your
Yes,
mostly fresh fruits and vegetables. The
yes,
more colors, the better. There's so much we can
yes,
get from that.
absolutely. The colors, the different colors to hydrate your energy system, or
Hmm.
what people call the chakra system, your energy vortexes. All of these get heightened the more colorful foods you eat, the more living foods you eat. We're a living species, we need living food. Um, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. The living being, living cells, we need living food that's alive and well, and that can provide the information necessary for health.
So the color of the food we eat correlates with our chakra system?
Typically, yes. I
Oh,
mean,
that's cool.
all around the world, they have different vegetation that are of all the colors of the light spectrum.
Yeah.
So why not? you know,
Well, it's
um,
interesting. I hadn't heard that before, so that's worth exploring. That's
yeah.
really cool.
I mean, again, when we get in tune with nature, then we'll find out how close we are to nature and why these foods matter.
Hmm.
Why these foods matter. Um, is there a place for the standard American diet? I mean, none of us have to be perfect with our diet. Um, and I don't try to tell anyone how to eat. I'm not. All I do is facilitate. I'll give suggestions,
Hmm.
recommendations, but at the end of the day, it's up to the individual whether they implement it or not. And so, for those that want to be better, just try it, like you said, for a week. See how you feel.
Yeah.
See how you feel after the first day, and and just go from there.
Yep. Small steps.
Small steps.
Yeah. So we're almost out of time, but tell us about your radio show and how people can get in touch with you.
Yes, so everyone can go to all of my platforms. I'm on all four major platforms. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Kennon Wesley Mason. And the Kinetic Hour, it's on YouTube and Rumble. And I will be going back to my show this summer. I took a little bit of a hiatus because I'm homeschooling my daughter
Oh,
this year. So,
full-time job.
yeah. So, um, and having a podcast is time consuming when you're a one man show. And so I took a hiatus. So I'm going to get back to it this summer. And, um, and the Kinetic Hour is basically everything we've talked about today and then some. I go into health matters. I go into psychological matters. Um, a little bit of political government matters as it relates to health.
There's a lot to
Um,
talk about these days.
yes, absolutely. And so I try to touch on a little bit of everything. Um, all topics are on the table, but predominantly it's about health, wellness, and how we can make ourselves better in all aspects of life, even outside of health and wellness. Just the life journey in general, hence holistic psychology.
Fabulous. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Do you have insights from this show? Send me an email at radiantpodcast2025@gmail.com. Check out past episodes on our YouTube channel, and we're also featured on Apple Podcasts and all your favorite platforms. I'll be back next Saturday morning at 7:30 with more expert insights and practical strategies to help you live a radiant and healthy life. Until then, here's to your best life. Hey.